here or is it I can't. Legion. So Monday.
We're back now.
I know.
I've got a week to make up.
Actually going.
Already booked something months ago.
I've blocked in my diary. This is my I've blocked the year. I said,
Yeah, it's the same.
even if I've not blocked to that night, I said, I assume I will be needing.
I know.
You know I did. I do.
I know you do. Otherwise, why would you put that next to me? Next to you.
Thank you.
She said something about she said something about next to her. I just didn't even want to hear about it.
Talk about that's why you're sat next to me.
Boxes. I know.
See?
I know I've got to say I know. Yep, go for it.
Good evening, everyone. Before I hand over to the chair of tonight's meeting, I remind everyone here in the room we are now live streaming. We politely request that all participants waiting to be invited to speak by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Once invited to speak, please preface your contribution by stating your name. This will help the mics lock in on the primary speaker and thereby maximise the sound quality for those watching at home. If you're watching at home and wish to participate in tonight's meeting, please turn your video on. If you're just observing, please turn your video off. Unless actively speaking, all those watching the meeting via Teams should have their mics muted. Members of the public are reminded that public participation is for questions only. Comments, suggestions or representations may be made at the discretion of the chair of the meeting. In case of a fire evacuation, the fire point is the marketplace. For this evening, there will be no fire drills. I'll now hand you over to tonight's chair, Councillor Raby.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this full council meeting of Nottingham Town Council. Can I first of all, any apologies, Andrew?
Councillor Elson.
Thank you very much. Item 2, any declarations of interest? No, thank you. I'll just briefly explain now what we're going to do when it comes on to the co-opting part of the meeting, because that's a fairly big part of this evening's meeting. As we have a councillor here who unfortunately wasn't at the last meeting, I will ask you if you wouldn't mind just getting up and just saying your name. Don't necessarily have to give a full explanation. Councillor Oatley has had all the CVs, so he has read them. So when we go to the vote, what we're going to do, because I don't really want to have like a Britain's Got Talent moment of like pressing buzzers and ejecting some of you from the room. That seems a bit unfair. So we will be doing it as a paper vote, and then we'll obviously top them up and let you know which candidates have been selected this evening, if that's okay with everybody. Thank you. So moving on to item 3, public participation. Do we have any public participation in the room? Please introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yes, I'll remember to do that this time. Mark Harris, Melksham Without Parish Council. I just wanted to say a few words. First of all, to welcome the new councillors to the Town Council. You'll get to know my face because I come to as many Town Council meetings as I can, mainly to try and foster a spirit of cooperation between the two councils, which seems to have been lacking over the last few years. There are a number of joint projects on the go, which most of you will be aware of, which don't seem to have progressed very far. So I'm hoping that between us, we can make some progress on those in the coming years. 2 in particular I'll mention. The neighbourhood plan is almost over the finishing line. The inspector has passed his comments to Wiltshire Council, who now have to decide whether they're going to accept his recommendations or not. If they do, the referendum will be on the 31st of July. And I would encourage all of you to encourage everybody else to participate in the referendum and preferably vote yes, because that will be a big step forward for both the town and the parish. And the other joint item I want to mention is the Shernold Fields issue, which has been rumbling on for a number of years now. We finally got a plan in place. We've got the money in place to carry out that plan, but there seems to be some resistance from the local residents. So I'm hoping that the joint working party, which is now fully formed on both councils, can get together and try and resolve the issues with the Friends of Shernold Fields and the local residents. And I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else public participation? Councillor Orford?
I mean, I know I'm not public, but it is a question. I just wanted to ask quickly. On the town council website, I went in to find the agenda on the calendar, and there's no meetings in there. I mean, I know we've talked about this before. Is that going to get updated at some point?
My understanding is be updated when the new website goes live.
When's that going to happen?
I believe it's going to be on the 12th of June.
12th of June. So 12th of June, new website, all the calendar is on there, and the agenda's sorted. Thank you.
Perfect. Right, anybody else? No, in that case then I'll move on to item 4, which is to approve the minutes of the full council meeting held on Monday the 12th of May. Do you have any questions?
Yes. 5/25, the election of deputy mayor. I have seen that it is both, you are both mayor and deputy mayor,
Right,
which
so
has been updated. It has been updated. I hadn't seen that, sorry.
Yep, that's been updated.
I called that one too.
No, in that case, can I ask for a proposer? Thank you. Reece, can you second it? All in favour? Thank you. Okay. Right, now we're going to move on to the co-option of councillors. Can I ask those in the room who are present for this evening? I know we've had one apology from one of the candidates. Can I ask you just to quickly just stand up and just state your name, just so Councillor Oakley is aware of who you are in the room, please?
Jonathan Lynch.
Thank you.
Yes. Laverne Druitt.
Thank you very much. Right, Andrew, would you mind?
Chair, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are we not going to discuss these? We've not had a chance to talk about them, except for the last meeting, we didn't talk about them.
I think, didn't we discuss at the last meeting that we were all going to go away and come up with our own thoughts because it's.
But nobody shared those thoughts.
I wasn't aware we were going to discuss amongst ourselves. My
It
understanding
just seems
is.
as lack of transparency, public discussion, with a show of hands about the whole thing.
Thank you. I've taken advice from Melksham Without in terms of how they conduct their co-opting.
If I show of hands.
They do, but we've decided,
Oh, so you've taken advice and ignored that advice and just done it differently?
no, I asked for advice from Teresa in terms of how they didn't say that we're actually following exactly what they've done, but there are elements of their procedure that we have taken. It's actually an out procedure as well.
Which is not discussing, just have a secret ballot.
You're more than welcome to discuss it if you want. That wasn't what we discussed last time, though.
No, my understanding is we're going to go away and then come back and just discuss it with each other. Okay. But at this point, it doesn't feel particularly transparent, but.
That way, it's a little bit of predetermination if you're going to go away and discuss it outside of a meeting. I mean, you can openly discuss what you want to do here, but
Discuss it in the meeting. Rather
I think that's why it's an open vote now for all members.
So there's no discussion about.
What you're proposing, what do you want to do?
Well, I just assumed that we were going to come in and have a chat about them, and then we were going to get some kind of show of hands. People were going to discuss the merits of people's experience and what they want for the town council. It just feels like bearing in mind that only 2 of us were elected this time round and most people in this room were not elected, and I'm not criticising anyone for that because obviously not enough people came forward. It just feels a bit lacking in transparency if, whatever it is, 9 unelected, not unelected, but 9 members who never went to a public vote, or, you know, plus a couple of others, basically deciding on a number of people who aren't going to a public vote to join the council, and it just feels like there's a lack of transparency.
I don't totally disagree with Phil. I do think having a bit of a go at people who haven't been elected is a bit harsh, given that it's not really. You know, we did put ourselves forward for election. It's not really, you know. I think there would have been a difference if we hadn't put ourselves forward for election and had all been co-opted. I think that's a very different conversation. I think it's unfair, personally, to have a conversation about people in front of them.
Yeah, did you? I'm not comfortable with that. John and then Adrian.
I do take on board Councillor Alford's point about whether there should be a discussion amongst councillors about who the best fit would be for the skills that we're looking for. But as with any staffing matter, and councillors, I think we should be thinking of councillors in the same terms when talking about them individually, or potentially councillors we should be talking about them in the same way as we would staff. That is not something which I would expect to happen in a public meeting and one that is being broadcast online. So I would support that we went into part 2 and discussed it, but I wouldn't support that in the public arena, and I don't think it would be found reasonable to do that with people in the room, because you're either going to have an honest conversation, or you're going to have a theatrical conversation. It's going to be one or the other.
Adrian?
John's virtually said everything that I wanted to say. I think it would be terribly rude and disingenuous, actually, to do that in front of these people who have come and put themselves forward, and it's online, and I think it's just inappropriate. Accepting what you're saying, Phil, but it would have to be a part 2 item.
Sorry, so we're not in public participation.
It's just a point of order, really. No, there's no point of order, sir.
Sorry.
But in that case, can I make a proposal that we go to part 2, have a discussion,
Yeah.
and then once we've done that, obviously you count up the votes, but can we at least let members of the public know how many votes each candidate got?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would assume that would have happened then.
So would I. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'll happily second that.
Let's go from here.
Can I just say, if we're going to do that, can we put a time limit on it? As much as anything for the benefit of
Yeah.
candidates.
Okay, do we think we could have this discussion 15, 30 minutes? What's the feeling?
Well, I've shared my thoughts, and I'm interested in what everyone else is thinking.
You know, I what time.
How long do you want it?
Phil, how long do you think we would need to go? How long are you going to be happy with?
15, 20 minutes, you cover it. I mean, I know Belgium about the show of hands, so we're not doing that.
Exactly.
So we're not following the same process. You know, it is what it is. If that's what everybody will agree to, rather than a discussion of show of hands, I think that's fair. So 15, 20 minutes?
Yep, perfect. In that case, so your proposer, who's seconded it, all in favour? Thank you. Sorry, guys, you're all going to have to disappear for 15, 20 minutes.
You can go downstairs. There's plenty of space downstairs.
There's a committee room, follow me, I'll show you.
Muting appears to be what causes the cell to go. That's what's
Which
happening.
is a totally real reason we should have gone downstairs. Too late now.
Right.
We're gonna have to stop
Stop
this.
it then.
And then
I
put a
could,
thing on
I
Facebook
can
saying-
mute.
Go into that room now and have a very quick, 15
Yeah.
minutes and have
Yeah.
that discussion.
Let's do that. Come on,
Go
go.
into that room,
Can't switch off the
because we can't switch off the
Turn
recording.
the sound.
musical chairs tonight, eh?
Oh, right.
They could have stayed in here.
Yeah. I'm going to take this inside because it's all in there.
We had problems last week.
I think it was any trouble.
I noticed that you expanded something.
A few weeks ago.
I'm going there, Jen, because if I turn the wheel off, I can't guarantee to get it running again. That was a bit worrying. After all that, that screen has gone blank. Still going, I suppose, because it's... I think it probably, I mean, there must be a way to mute it, because Teresa's meeting, Melching without, they have confidential sessions in the middle, and they mute and unmute.
Yeah.
So it must, but I just, because we've been having these problems, I didn't want to risk it. I might have to check that with Clive.
It's here, look. During the meeting, go to the participants panel, click more, the three lines, and then select mute all.
Shall I, since they're in there, shall I get them to come back up?
Yeah, could do.
Make it easier, wouldn't it? Because they can't really hear what they're saying. Just be quicker. Yeah. Well, we haven't said anything. No, that's why they went in there, because I couldn't mute it. But they're talking. So you can come back up as soon as you want. It's when I mute it that the sound goes. Pass me. This is why they went in there rather than sitting here, because I said if I stop anything, I can't guarantee to get it going again. It is what it is, Tracy. Should be showing that picture. I can see my feet. That's great.
If you just go on that mic.
You know what, when it came to doing the leader of the council, I went up and I thought, I don't know what we're voting for this time around. I had to look at the names and go, right, okay, now I know. I'm with it. I think it was just the nerves.
So I was so uncomfortable by that point. I was like, my back is killing me. So hot.
Oh, God's sake. Sorry.
You accept these intros?
Are you right?
Or do-
I'll just explain to everybody as they come back in the room. Everyone? Right, so just to explain what we've had our discussions. We are going to now carry out our voting process. It will be that the candidates have to have a minimum of 6 votes to make it onto the town council. Should there be more than 3 with 6, if there were 4, for instance, we would then have to have a straight out vote between them.
Yes, so I definitely know about this.
I did say that bit.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
All right.
You said that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Apologies.
In that case, everybody can place your votes and we'll get Andrew to.
I feel like it's the lottery. Do we pass them now to you, Jason?
Yeah.
Are we going to have Kieran opening it?
Making sure nothing gets stuck to the side.
It just feels more.
Well, that's what I thought.
Might be done the other way round. So.
Well, I'm doing a big loop.
Just make sure you've got the right piece of paper.
Useful.
It's like someone lost vote, but we hit the wrong box, wasn't it?
I lost a vote. Votes that they put into mine that was for someone else.
They lost one for one. In fact,
It wasn't for me. They counted. Election.
Yeah, not for a nice process.
After this reflection, it's so awful.
It's worse than it's been.
I don't know if it was worse, I'll be honest.
Thank you ever so much, everybody. And so I will read out, in fairness, in the numbers for true transparency. So our town councillors will be Maverick Druitt with 10 votes, Emma Calland with 9. So they will be the 2 that are co-opted on. Next was Anthony Pearce with 5, Rachel Edwards with 4, and then we had John Leach with 1 and no votes for Jeff Mitchell or Sue Mortimer. So I will welcome Maverick and Emma onto the town council. Just to be clear that this evening, Maverick, as you're here, 6 minimum votes. So Maverick, we'll invite you to come and join us. You can be involved in any conversation this evening, but we were not allowed to vote yet. So when we've been invited formally to one of our meetings, then you'll be able to actually take part in voting. Please come on up. Congratulations. To say thank you to everybody who has stood for co-option. It's not a nice way to have to do this at all for any of us sat here either. Thank you for your interest, but I would just appeal, please stand for the elections next time in 4 years' time, so we're not in this position of having to do this. It'd be really appreciated. Thank you. We'll part that one, Jeff. And next then, moving on to item 6, which is the calendar of meetings. Have you all had a chance to have a look at the calendar of meetings? There is a little bit of an adjustment on this, Andrew, isn't there, you put out today? Just have to do that because Emma lives in Norfolk, which is, there's no spaces. So.
Actually, he sends it up.
Yeah, you do. And then just councillor.
He lives in East, so I'm going to, and then Emma will just have to go wherever because she's the north.
Forest, if you go that way. Stamps if you go that way.
It's totally academic because I never think about what ward I am. At the end of the day, you're a Melksham Town Council, aren't you?
Oh, I thought you said town council. No worries.
That's the bottom bit.
Things get sent by email.
Pardon? You better share with the group now.
That's why I was feeling, well, you're dead now, but I was just saying, things you get sent by email. I was just looking at LGA briefing, we were doing that. And tomorrow, you'll be fascinated to know that the Health Security Agency is publishing its sexually transmitted infections annual report.
Thanks, John. Great.
That's going to make some bright reading one day.
Wow, okay, great. Thank you very much.
The best bit is the line afterwards, which says, "We have briefed the Financial Times."
Brilliant. Fantastic. Right, can we just go on to the calendar of meetings? And is everybody happy? Did everybody see the amendments that Andrew made today?
Today?
It was just the two, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was changing personnel to the 7th of July and full council to the 30th of June. That's the only amendment
The
on it.
30th of June and then the 14th of July. just to
Yes.
check.
Chair,
Yes.
will these dates all be being put into Outlook?
Ultimately, yes.
What does ultimately mean?
Once you've agreed it, I will be putting them into, yes.
Move.
Thank you. Are you seconding Andrew or you got a question?
Once I'm back at work, councillor.
Looking at the.
This is your leisure time?
The finance, I'm just wondering whether last time around, we had several additional meetings looking at budget.
Didn't we say we would be looking at calling potentially
Budget working.
meetings?
We're going to have the budget working group working on the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Because we decided it would be better to have it in a closed environment so we're free to.
Yep.
In that case, then John has moved to accept the calendar. Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favour? Thank you very much. And then the last item on the agenda, number 7, is a motion on amendment to the terms of reference, and this is for. I knew you would say that. I second it. In that case, are we all in favour? Do you all understand why we're doing this? Because we think it sits more naturally rather than under finance. Yeah. Everybody happy with that? Yeah. All in favour? Thank you. That makes tonight's meeting closed.